You pick up your phone to check one thing, and then you look up and 40 minutes have disappeared. You did not mean to do that, you never mean to do that, and yet it happens every single day. Each time you feel a little worse about it, and a little less able to stop. But here is what nobody tells you. You are not weak. You are not failing at self-control. You are losing a fight that was designed for you to lose. And the weapon being used against you is the same mechanism that kept your ancestors alive for 2 million years. Your brain was never built for this, and that is exactly why it cannot resist it. To understand what is happening inside your head every time you open an app, you have to go back. Way back. Back to a brain that had one job above everything else. Do not miss anything important. Neuroscientists call it the novelty bias. Your brain is hardwired to pay attention to anything new. A rustle in the grass, a flash of movement, a change in the sky. For your ancestors, ignoring novelty could mean death. The predator you did not notice was the one that killed you. Evolution ruthlessly eliminated every human who was not paying attention. The ones who survived were the ones whose brains lit up at anything new. You are descended from the most distracted humans who ever lived. And now, those same brains have been handed a device that produces infinite novelty. Every second, forever. Every time you scroll, your brain fires a small burst of dopamine. But dopamine is not the pleasure chemical. That is a myth. Dopamine is the anticipation chemical. It is the chemical of maybe. It fires not when you get a reward, but when you might be about to get one. It is the same chemical that fires in a gambler's brain the moment before the slot machine stops spinning. Dr. Robert Sapolsky at Stanford University has spent decades studying dopamine. What he found should change how you look at your phone forever. Dopamine does not peak when you receive a reward. It peaks when the reward is uncertain. When the reward might come or might not, the dopamine response goes through the roof. Neuroscientists call this variable reward, and it is the most powerful behavioral mechanism ever discovered. Every slot machine on Earth is built on this principle. Pull the lever. Maybe you win, maybe you don't. The uncertainty is the drug. Now think about what happens when you scroll. You pull down on your feed and release. New content appears. Maybe it is fascinating. Maybe it is nothing. You do not know until you scroll. And that uncertainty, that tiny gap between the pull and the reveal, is a slot machine. Every single time. Engineered using the same principles Sapolsky identified in rats and primates, now applied to billions of human brains simultaneously. This was not accidental. Former Vice President of Facebook Chamath Palihapitiya stated publicly that the short-term dopamine-driven feedback loops they created are destroying how society works. He said this after leaving the company. He said it about a system he helped build. You are not scrolling because you are bored. You are scrolling because a team of engineers studied your brain's deepest evolutionary vulnerabilities and built a machine to exploit every single one of them. But the dopamine loop is only half the story. Your brain does not just crave novelty, it craves social information above almost everything else. Dr. Robin Dunbar at Oxford University proposed what is now called Dunbar's number. The idea that the human brain evolved to track relationships with roughly 150 people. In your ancestral tribe, knowing who was allied with whom, who had more food, who was gaining status. This was survival information. Social missteps could get you exiled. Exile meant death. Your brain evolved a dedicated system for processing social information. It is always on. It is always scanning. A threat to your social standing registers in the same part of your brain as physical pain. Now look at what a social media feed delivers. Status updates, likes, conflict, drama, who is up, who is down, who said what. It is a continuous stream of exactly the social information your brain evolved to treat as critical survival data. Your ancient tribal brain cannot tell the difference between a post from a stranger and a real shift in your tribe's social dynamics. It processes both the same way. with full attention, with full urgency. This is why you cannot just check one thing. One thing leads to a notification. The notification contains social information. The social information triggers your tribal brain, and the feed never ends. Dr. Anna Lemke at Stanford describes what happens after prolonged exposure to these high-stimulation environments. The brain is always trying to maintain balance. When dopamine floods the system repeatedly, the brain compensates by reducing its dopamine receptors. It becomes less sensitive. You need more stimulation to feel the same response. This is the neurological definition of tolerance, the same process that happens in substance addiction. The mechanism is identical, and when you put the phone down, your dopamine baseline dips below normal. Your brain, now expecting constant stimulation, registers the absence of the feed as a deficit, as discomfort. This is why the moment you set your phone down, something in you immediately wants to pick it back up. Not because there is anything new, but because your brain has been recalibrated to experience stillness as something wrong. Your ancestors felt this discomfort as hunger, as cold, as the threat of predators in the dark. Your brain is now feeling it because you are not scrolling. So what do? Research by Dr. B.J. Fogg at Stanford's Behavior Design Lab shows that behavior change is not about willpower. It is about friction. Every additional step between you and a behavior reduces how often it happens. Put the phone in another room. Remove the apps from your home screen. Turn off every notification that is not a direct message from someone you know. Make the slot machine harder to reach and replace the novelty with something real. Walk somewhere new. Talk to someone whose face you can see. Your dopamine system was built for the real world. A walk through an unfamiliar street activates the novelty bias just as powerfully as a scroll. Without the withdrawal, without the tolerance, without the exploitation. Tonight, when you feel the pull, pause for 3 seconds before you pick up the phone. Not to stop yourself, just to notice it. To feel the craving as a craving and not as a command. Your ancestors survived because they paid attention to everything. You can survive this by learning for the first time in human history to pay attention to a little bit less.